disclaimer on this one.
There should totally be a disclaimer on this one. Good morning. Good morning. Hey guys,
Good
we are
morning.
we are tired.
We take no responsibility for what happens today.
Shannon, how
Uh,
are you? Let's start.
oh, maybe we should start with you this morning. Maybe we should, maybe mine's gonna go a little deep and be, I don't know, a little, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
Unless yours is gonna be that way too, then it doesn't matter.
I don't know. I had some cool stuff happen this week. I mean,
Let's start with you.
um, there has been just mostly this weekend, like just amazing blessings that have happened. So Sunday morning I got up and I was just praying. I've got some interesting. Well, no, let's back up before that. Okay, so Friday, Friday I wake up and I had had a dream that people were just doubting me, and I got up and I just had all of this doubt and everything, just this, it was a spirit of doubt attacking me, right?
Mm,
Because Friday night I was teaching the first class with Eddie Villa on strengths in marriage. Yeah. So,
yeah.
and the first class is a lot of just like the foundation stuff, which is really I leaned heavily into Eddie because that's where I learned all of it, right? Sorry, my chair is like, there we go. The leg was turned funny and it was just
Uh,
hitting my foot wrong. Hey, it's live video, folks. You get what you get.
you get real life.
So anyway, I just had all of this, and like I woke up and there was just this doubt, and but I recognized it. I
Yeah.
recognized it for what it was, and I was able to go, oh, no, not today, Satan, right? You don't get to put all this doubt in me as I'm helping people, because the first week was all about knowing who you are at your core. Because
Mm,
you can't be a part of someone else until you are whole and complete yourself. So it was just so funny that I was just attacked by that, right? And I was
mm,
like, no, because I know who I am. So that
yeah.
was that was really cool. And then Eddie and I taught a class and it was really fun. And afterwards I was like, oh, how did you feel about that? Because I feel like I kept deferring to you. And he was like, Ronai, I love our different perspectives. I love that we were able to teach this. He goes, this was all like laying the foundation. He goes, the next couple weeks, that's when the fun is really going to start. And I was like,
Yeah.
yes, because I have cool stories to share and just like where I can really feel that I am, that I'm equal, right? But I mean, and that's the thing. So often I'm like, oh, Eddie knows so much more. No, he just knows it differently.
Yeah.
I learned from him, and to be teaching with him is such an honor. So that's really cool. So thank you, Eddie. Thank you for instilling in me the confidence to be able to step forward. Like that was really cool. Also, I big thanks to God. There was lots of prayer that went into that, and continued prayer that goes into this class as we're moving forward with couples, just helping them come together and understand who they are and how they can communicate better. Because like I'm really excited about the next couple of weeks. So I had that. And then got to just weed in my garden. Finally had a day of like not raining and my garden was so overgrown. And so that was exciting to just get my hands in the dirt and weed in the garden and just like feel like I'm accomplishing something. So that was cool. And then Sunday morning, I got up and I just had this like heaviness about finances. I have some things that are out there that will I have to be delicate because I've got some stuff going on, right? But when some other things come through, like it's not gonna be a problem. And I've just been
Right.
waiting and I keep asking God, like, is it time? Is it time? And he's like, soon,
Mm. Uh,
right? And I'm like, okay, I get, I get that you're gonna take care of me. Like I get it. I, except for I don't. So, like,
Uh,
can that soon be this week? Like, when can that soon be? You know, like, is it be this? And I kid you not, not even 20 minutes later, I get a text from somebody who says, "Hey, I was praying about you this morning. And I get this that you are believing two lies and they're around finances. And I could tell you what they are, but I think you should pray about it." And so immediately I was like, well, one is either money is hard to get or money is hard to keep.
mm,
And he was like, actually, those are the two lies. Money's hard to get and it's hard to keep. And I was like, how good is God, right? Immediately. Because then he's like, okay, you need to rebuke this, that that's a lie. So quit believing the lie. And then oh, there were some scriptures that were quoted about being prosperous, like the Lord delighteth in a prosperous servant. And he's like, and just pray for that. Like, I'm so grateful for the abundance that's coming in. I'm so grateful that money is easy to get. I'm so grateful that money is easy to keep.
mm,
And I was like, oh, again, like, how good is God that like immediately you pray for something and I was not in a position to listen, right?
right.
But somebody else was. So there's all different ways to hear what God has for you, and sometimes it comes through someone else.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that was really, really cool. And then to add to the cherry on top of this, right? This morning, and I did share this live. I went on Facebook Live because I was like, this is just crazy, right? Crazy town where stuff comes through so easy. I was listening to my Brilliant Plus app this morning, and there is under I have to find it. Um, Under the courses is this one about getting unstuck, right? There's so many courses in here, guys, that it's hard to find. Get unstuck and live a lifestyle of encounter. Okay, so it's under courses and it's the fifth video. There's something better than discipline. First off, okay, no, you also the whole thing is really good. Um, a couple days ago, I listened to Liberty from the Limitations of Logic. So if you have like that super, super logical brain, this is the one to listen to because so often it's hard to have faith when you are so logical and you're so realistic. And so that one's really good. Freedom from Difficult Expectations. Again, so good. But the one I want to talk about is something better than discipline. Strengths wise, my discipline is super low. It is that
Yeah, me too.
my husband has discipline high, mine is very low. And so I got up this morning and I'm like, ugh, I've committed to doing this couch to 5K. Like I want to get my body back in shape. Like I felt really good when I was running before. And when you first start running, it doesn't feel so great, right? So I get up and I'm like, okay, I gotta slog through this. And Graham talks about you don't need discipline, right? So here I'm like trying to have discipline to get up and do this because like I've said it. You need to delight. This is when people say, well, it's too hard to be Christian. I don't have the discipline to be Christian. I don't have the discipline to do this. And this is every area of your life. But you need to delight in it. When you delight in something, like I delight in food. I delight in that, right? Which is got me in the position where I'm like, oh, my body hurts because of inflammation, of like, but when you delight in movement, when you delight in getting up and moving your body because that's going to be really good for it, right? When you delight in reading your scriptures, when you delight in going to church, when you delight in helping people so financial abundance comes in, when you delight in financial abundance, right? It was just such a cool thing this morning. And literally halfway through my run, which I was like, okay, gotta run. I was like, okay, gotta run. I like, this is great. So, anyway, those were like my highlights. Obviously, I had stuff that happened, but those are the things I'm thinking about right now because I just had a really good God is good week.
And even when you're in the struggle, I mean, I think that's the great message in that, right? Your God is good week wasn't like, oh, because I won the lottery and this went right and this went right and this went
Oh,
right.
yeah,
It
no.
was it was all about God showing up. And it was so it's funny that you shared what you shared because I had shared on Facebook yesterday. I was finishing up, I finally finished Faith Driven Wealth. Like I'd gotten to almost the end and then I hadn't gotten a chance to get back to it and just finish it up. And so yesterday I got up early before church and I was like, I'm got the house to myself. Like I'm reading this book. And
I'm only laughing because the person that messaged me also said, and by the way, this book would be really helpful, and I haven't read it yet.
oh yeah,
So
actually, given what you were talking about, yeah,
starting it today.
yeah, really good. And it's quick and easy to read. But do you have a paper copy?
Yes. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And
Bring
just
bring your
before that,
highlighter.
I want to bring this back to what you were saying. My week didn't go well. Our power went out because of the storm. Right before starting this, my husband picked up a chainsaw at a garage sale and he just got it working, right? So I open up and I'm talking to him and all these smoke fumes come in. The fire alarm starts going off. Like this is all the stuff that's happening when I'm supposed to be starting this with you. And then I come to my computer and because the power had gone out, it like boom, boom, boom. Like, so yes,
Mm.
there's been plenty of stuff. There's been plenty of stuff that has not been great, but it has been a God is great week. So yes, tell us about faith driven wealth.
I had read it pair this one hit me because this is a struggle for me and it'll go so into what you were saying because when you were praying to God about finances and you're just like soon, what is soon? And the paragraph said that it's just the first three words. I'll read you the whole paragraph, but the first three words was like smack in the forehead. Uh, Patience isn't passive. Because right when we're trying to be patient, we just feel like we're sitting there and waiting. Like and it's like torture. But he says, Ray, this is Faith Driven Wealth by Ray Higman. He says, patient isn't passive, it's an active trust in God's plan. It's doing your part, staying faithful, and believing that He will come through. Abundance on God's timetable may not look like what you had in mind, but it will always exceed your expectations. And I was just like, because I've been trying to be patient all week. I've been trying to be patient and not lose my mind and hear God because we've had some stuff going on. And and I read that yesterday and I was like, oh, like I'm doing it all wrong. Like not in a, self-braiding way, but just kind of like there's a more active role in this. I mean, it just like I said, it just hit me like a sledgehammer. It's like patience is not passive. And I'm like, ooh,
I like
how
that.
many people have thought of it that way?
What if we delight in patience?
Okay, well, let's not go that far, but uh, I mean, but truly, right? Because you're right. You're right, but it's like because there's something in that. There's a lesson in that. There's a blessing in that. There's God's, leveling you up. There's all those things that come from it. Uh, I'm not sure. That was just like when you were talking about being so excited to get out in your garden and weed. I'm not. I try. I so this is kind of a funny story. When I was young in my 20s, like they used to when everything was printed, I don't even know where I went, but it would show up every week. Like there'd be the little weekly horoscopes, just the not real ones, but just the little things. And I would always see it every week in something it would pop up. And I remember one week it was like talking all about who I am. And it was like, you love to garden, and it just does all these things, just gives so much to your soul and everything else. And I'm like, well, clearly now we know this is not true. Like I have like written proof that this is not true. And but I've thought about that over the years for whatever reason that stuck with me. And I don't know if it's because I'm supposed to love it, like and give it a try, but I just don't. I don't love anything about it. So when you should have seen your face when you're like, "Oh, I got to get out in the garden and weed and just like," and I'm like, no, 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 that one doesn't hit me that way.
I don't necessarily love to weed. but
But you
I
have to be in the garden and
to
have
be
your
in the
hands in
garden.
the earth.
Well,
Yeah.
and to see the difference from before weeding and after, like, I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this is what it's supposed to look like." Now the weeds, when I get to heaven, I'm gonna talk to God about weeds. I'm gonna talk to him about mosquitoes and ticks, spiders. Like,
I
we're gonna have a few conversations about some things.
I look at our yard and all the stuff that has to be done, and I think, "Oh, really need to hire someone."
Someone who delights in it.
Yes, I need to find someone who delights in this because I do not. But I do agree with you that when you do get out there and get something finished, whatever it is, whether it's in the garden or whatever, I mean, there is definitely a great feeling in having accomplished something or finished something.
Yeah.
So I
So
will give you that.
tell me what else is good because you said it was kind of like heavy. Like, talk about
Yeah.
this.
So I've really been praying about this because I'm like, okay, what, what do you share? What do you not? Because like we share a lot of stuff on here, but not necessarily super. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I don't think we've had something come up where it's like, how personal or vulnerable am I willing to get um, with a whole bunch of strangers? And and then I don't mean that in a bad way, but when you're
Yeah.
working through it, and I don't know, God was just kind of like, if you're gonna share, you have to share everything. It's not you have to be authentic. You can't just share the whatever. So I'm gonna share, but uh, we had a situation with one of our kids where she basically was like, "Hey, I need to talk to you. It's gonna be serious, and you're gonna be really upset with me." It's like, "Oh boy, here we go." Okay, I just like, let's not react. Let's listen. Let's, get prepared. And then she says, "I've been lying to you for a really long time. I've been uh, sneaking into bars with my friends. She's not 21. She just turned 18, and and I met a guy there. Oh, and he's 8 years older than me. And when I tell you I'm doing this with my friend, her and I are actually going and hanging out at his house, and like so this whole thing, right? And I am just like, I mean, literally a blindsided. Did not see that coming. And so I just sat there and I was like, I I don't know what to say. Like, if you know me and you know my strengths, I'm not one who needs to sit and process things. Um, but I did need to sit and process things because the things that were rapid firing in my brain are things where it's like, okay, we need to be the responsible parent. We can't just say whatever comes to our mind because that's not going to resolve this. And God has really had me in this season of like my husband tried to talk to me about a week ago about some serious stuff, which my husband's not feelings, let's talk, and he is talking. And all God kept saying to me while he was talking was, just listen,
Yeah.
just listen. Don't, shh, which if you know me, that doesn't happen much. So he's, just listen. And so I was taking that into my conversation with my daughter too, where it's like, don't talk, don't talk until you know what you're supposed to say. And so I just told her, I said, I need to process. I didn't see this coming. And and then I said, and we went into it, we talked a little bit, and then I said, I said, I just know that I'm really hurt. And then I started to cry, which like I started to choke up. I'm like, so I just need to leave the room right now. Like I need to leave because whatever this, like I can't lay this on you, my part. I have to process. And so then I left the room and we haven't talked a whole lot this week because I really have like I've just been like stomach aches at night, at morning, like just really torn up about what do you do about this? What do we say about this? My husband and I have talked a little bit and I don't know. So last night, for whatever reason, you get triggered by things. She came home from work and she was like, I'm beat. I'm gonna go right to bed. And that just I don't know what that did for me because it was just like, okay. So this is where we're gonna be now, where like we're just not gonna talk and we're just gonna like, oh, sorry, I'm just gonna go be in my room. And so then Dion and I went to bed and I was just like, I could not sleep. My mind was going a mile a minute. Like I was just so upset. And then I was, I was just praying and I had been praying all week. Like, God, what am I supposed to do? God, what am I supposed to do? God, what am I supposed to do? And then the patience thing hit me because, you have no patience when you're in the middle of something so emotional, right? And uh, that was very helpful. But then God, last night, Dion and I were talking, and I was asking some questions, and I was just still praying this. I'm just like, what am I supposed to do with this? And God was like, you know what you're supposed to do. You just don't want to do it. And so I went upstairs because I'm like, I'm not going to sleep anyway. Went upstairs and I kind of was texting with her, and I was just like, here's the deal. I'm like, no, like, no, you cannot do this. No, we are not okay with this. Um, we have rules in this house and we have, certain behaviors. Da, da, da. And so basically, it just kind of went through the had to do the parenting, had to do the hard thing, knowing that she's 18 and she could choose to do something really dumb. Because, yeah, and that was my fear. So that's what I realized is I was really being led by fear. Like I was paralyzed with fear because I'm like, what happens when we stand our ground as parents? And if she's like, I don't know what her situation is. I hadn't asked a lot of questions because I was just too upset to talk about it with her and handle it the right way. So I just was like, we need to have some space. And so my fear was that I was going to say, the rules, the da 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 da. And and she was going to be like, okay, well, I love him and I'm moving out, like I was just waiting for all of that. And so I did last night. She came out in the living room. We had a really good talk. And she was like, okay, I get it. And it was good. I mean, we still have some stuff to work through, but man, man, oh man, has it been a hard week. And then you just have this thing where it's like, it's not about his age. I mean, it is about his age because she just turned 18, but it's not about his age because there's an age difference. It's about his age because I know her and I know she is not ready for that type of relationship with someone that much older than her.
It's not the age, it's the experience difference.
Yeah, but now my middle child, so and I think this is one of the reasons why she finally started to talk about it. My middle child has been asked out by someone with almost the same age difference. And so because we've been talking it through and she's seen that we've been open to these conversations, I think she thought, well, now might be a really good time to spring on her my situation. I don't know. I think she thought it might go a little easier, but I am very much a parent who does not believe in everything's the same for every child. Like I really believe that you have to look at that child and and kind of decide what works for them. And so with my middle, we've been talking and it's been like she's been talking it through with us openly. She's like, I don't know how I feel about it. Like nice guy, da 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 da, but that is an age difference. And in some ways it's great because I struggle with guys my age because I'm kind of beyond where they're at. And but in other ways it's not because when I just want to hang out with all my friends and we're a bunch of 20-year-olds, now there's this weird thing, and so she, she's talking it all through and just working it out with us. And so that's like a whole different conversation then. I've been lying to you and sneaking around, and by the way, within that process, met this older guy and we're hanging out. I'm like, well, I already know I don't like him. How do you know that? I'm like, because he was fine with you lying to your parents for 6 months and sneaking around. I'm like, that says a lot about a human being. Well, he wasn't happy about it. He wanted me to tell you. I'm like, oh, he wasn't that unhappy about it, clearly, because he's still hanging out with you and doing it like a grown, mature person would have said, no, I don't play this game. Like if you aren't in a place where you can be honest and upfront, then this isn't a thing. I
Yeah.
said, that's what a grown, mature man would have done. So yeah, it's been an interesting week of parenting.
Yeah.
And Yeah.
That gets really, really hard. It is interesting how, here my daughter is in, like, she's got three, f- 4.5, 2.5, and 6 week old, right? So she's got these three youngins and it's rough, right?
Yeah.
And I think back to those times when I was just so exhausted and tired, and then I compare that to like parenting adult children. And I'm kind of like, can they just be little again? Can we just go back to when it was just
Uh,
like making sure they had food and they weren't beating each other with sticks, which was happening at the house yesterday with the grandchildren. Well, we have a lot of sticks down from the storm, and so they were just finding great sticks and having some fun. But I think metaphorically, adult children beat themselves with the sticks, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's like finding a way to gently say, kind of need to put that stick down because it's going to hurt you.
Yeah, and I mean, we had a really great conversation about that, about self-esteem and how about settling for someone doesn't feel good in the end when it's not the right someone, and it's a band-aid. It feels good in the moment because someone likes you and they're giving you attention, but in the end, it actually kind of makes you feel ugly, makes you feel worse about yourself because you're doing something doesn't align with who you are and what you believe and what God has for you. And I mean, it was a great conversation, and uh, it definitely is an ongoing situation. Um, the the guy things handled, we have some repair and some work to do, but the bigger issue in the conversation is exactly that. She, her beating herself with the stick, and um it's such a hard age. It really is when the kids are teenagers because they just so much want to got one foot in the adult world, one foot in the kid world. They just want to fit in. They just want to be a part of something. Um, so yeah, so we talked a lot about that. We talked a lot about God and taking those things to God, but it was interesting because I think it's something that we do a lot as parents where we parent from fear. My dad was a parent who I don't know if he parented from fear or if he just didn't parent for a period of time, but um, I didn't have a lot of rules. I mean, my dad was going through his own stuff when I was a teenager, and the rule was if you're not going to be home for 2 days, you need to check in and let me know you're okay. Like that was about the only rule I had, like literally like the only rule I had. And so trying to figure out what the rules are, what the boundaries are, and to stand in that without fear, regardless of then what now she gets to choose to do because she's old enough to choose. And I mean, and I had to lay that out in a gentle way and say, well, your older sister left when she was 18. She didn't like rules. She didn't want to be. She's like, I'm out. I'm gonna learn it the hard way. And that was her choice. Your next oldest sister was kind of like, I really want to be independent. I want to move out. And I ran some of the numbers and it was just not in my best interest. So I'm gonna do the smart thing and stay home. And we are not a heavy rule household anyway. So it's like it's not like I just want you to know my children aren't suffering with you like that. And uh so I said, you have to choose what you want to do because the rules aren't going to change. And that was hard. That was scary. And she's like, well, I'm not moving out. I don't want to move out. I said, I do know you don't want to move out, but I also know you've been living this whole separate life over here. And I don't know which foot is in deeper. I don't know where your footing is right now. I said, so I don't know what you're gonna do. And she's like, yeah, no, I'm not moving up. I'm like, okay. So anyway, just, parenting is hard, but God is good. I mean, in that, it was kind of exactly what you were saying. In that it was like, you know, God let me know you need to stand the same ground and you need to know that I'm in this situation and let me do the work. You do what you're supposed to do. Let me do what I do.
Isn't that funny? The ultimate
So,
parent.
right?
I was just thinking, how often do you think God just looks down and shakes his head and just says, hmm, that was
Yeah.
an interesting choice, Ronai. You want to rethink that one?
Well, yeah, and I even got to talk to her last night a little bit, just even in the sense of what was happening with me through this situation. Like to help her see I'm like growing and learning and leaning into God is like a ongoing process. I'm like, even as your mom, here's what's happening with me. Here's some of my fears. Here's the things, here's what I'm having to bring to God. Like I may be older than you and I've learned some things, but I still have my things. Like you have to embrace that there's going to always be things and that really the only constant is God.
Yeah,
I mean, but isn't that comforting?
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so there you go. That was pretty much what consumed my entire week. was was just that situation.
Yeah, that's pretty heavy. So
Yeah.
now you get to delight in parenting.
And there is some of that in there. Honestly,
Well, even in the difficult times, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and to be thankful that there was, a conversation to be had. I just think how many parents don't have those conversations.
I had a similar conversation with our youngest who came to us and I had been asking him for years, okay, are these choices you're making? No, 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 no. And I'm like, okay, trusting because you want to trust them until they come
Right.
and say, you know what? I've been lying to you for years. I've been making these choices. And I was like, well, I am incredibly gullible because I totally believed you when you said you weren't doing that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because I had suspicions, but
Right.
but then to have those open conversations, and when you open that up, so much better. So much better. Now this kid tells me some stuff that I'm like, oh, I don't know that as a mother I needed to hear that.
Right. I
But
know.
so much better than not having the conversations. Like communication is so incredibly important. And so often,
Good communication.
I was going to say, so often we're communicating, but we're each speaking a different language.
Or I mean, I needed to pause in the situation and process because like there's a panic that's like, oh my gosh, and this is like I'm an emotionally driven person. So my brain is like, and we're gonna get pregnant, and he's probably beating her, and he's like, why is he like he's so and like you just go down all these worst roads. Like, what is she getting herself into? And like you go to the nth degree of things that were not happening. But I mean, nothing was in reality, but your brain and And then when you're scared, I don't know about most people, well, I think I know about most people, but for me, definitely when you're scared, like anger is the first thing that's going to come out. And then you start to say the wrong things or you say things in the wrong way and you can completely sidetrack the whole issue and turn it into something it's not. And that's what I was really trying to be careful I didn't do because I had all these things and thoughts and feelings bubbling around. And it's like, okay, I need to step back. I need to process for a minute. I need to get get it right with God so that, whatever comes of this, I know it's the right way, the right thing. And I mean, it took me a week to get there because my brain was so loud. I was just like, and I knew what was happening. I'm like, God, I just can't hear a dang thing. Like, I just can't, like, my brain just won't stop with all the, loud roaring of this could be this or this could be this or how could this happen or why would she do this and the hurt feelings and, all the things.
Yeah,
So having those conversations are really important and having constructive, healthy conversations is
absolutely.
really important.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the things that with this strength and marriage class that and I love how Eddie looks at it. A marriage, he uses the word marriage like it's a contract between two people, right? So I I say that Leanne's my work wife. because like but we have to have open communication.
Right.
You have a marriage with your children in that you need to have that proper communication and conversation. And so that's been one of the fun things about this class is that he opened it up. It's not just for married couples. We've got single people in there. We've got parent-child combinations, just like because it's so important to know who you are at your core. It's important for you to know who your daughter is and who she's becoming. Because right now you're
Right.
like trying to figure out, okay, who is she now? If she's been able to lie to me successfully for 6 months, like how did I miss that?
Right.
So being able to have like I love that you're able to open that conversation and maybe you need to look at her strengths and kind of look and go, okay, what's going on inside of her to figure that out.
Right. And that's where we ended up going to, and and having some really good conversation there. But I think as a parent, you have to really stop yourself and think through. It's like we have to have good conversation. We have to have good conversation. And I'm the person in this situation right now who's responsible to teach her how to do that.
Yeah.
Because so often we don't stop to think through the fact that until I teach her that this is how we work through this and this is how we talk through this, and like, how is she gonna know? You know? So yeah, it was good stuff, but it was, I mean,
It's a lot
yeah,
of responsibility being a parent.
it was, yeah. Aren't I
Well,
supposed to be done now? Isn't it supposed to be done when they're
you think so, but then they move back home and you still are having these conversations.
I know, and then as they get older, they have, like, real adult issues that start, and it's like, "Oh, oh."
Yeah.
So, no, it was really good in the end, and it was a blessing. It's still a road. I mean, I don't mean to make it sound like, "Oh, we had a talk and the whole world's better," you know? Oh, we talked, we were up till after 3 in the morning, that thus the beautiful, greasy hair, not whatever look I have going on this morning, but, um, it was kind of like it ended with we have some work to do. There's some damage to this relationship. There's some repair that has to be done, and we'll be okay. We'll get through this, and we'll help you. And so much of it does come down to strengths, because I was thinking last night, I'm like, well, maybe I just need to have her work with you actually for a while, because um, it's all a self-esteem issue.
Yeah.
Life meets us where we're at, and well, now I have a little more clarity on where she's at, and I thought we had kind of moved past this part, and clearly we have not. So,
No, but again, she opened the door, which means, first off, I wanted to stop here for a minute. You and Dion are good parents because she trusted that you weren't going to kick her out. She trusted that you were going to love her, even though she had been making choices that she knew you guys wouldn't agree with. So,
right.
like, you built a strong foundation. Now,
Yeah.
kids are gonna step off that foundation quite often, right? They're just gonna
Yeah.
kind of do their own thing, but having that safety net to come to you and say, okay, you know what? This is gonna be a hard conversation, but it needs to be had. She could have just walked away. She could have just been
Yeah.
like, I'm out, and you'd been like, what even just happened here?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Like, I'm very thankful for that.
And that's because you instilled that strong foundation. So kudos to you guys. That's awesome. Strengths, no, for her to know her own strengths would help her as she's moving forward. Anyone
Yeah,
who knows their
absolutely.
own strengths is going to be able to move forward with confidence, knowing who they are. And that's why when I woke up there was like three separate things. I had a dream, I had something, I can't remember what the other two were, but it was just like this absolute self-doubt. And I was like, what even is this? Because this isn't me. And I was able to go back to my strengths and go, oh, I get it. I'm being attacked because I'm moving forward and helping others to know who they are. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
so
Well, and I think there's truth in that. So, like, I mean, that's a really good point, Renee. When you are, and I think this happens to everybody, and I think it's important that you can step back, step out of it, and identify this is what's happening because I mean it's like a pendulum, right? The more good God has for you and the more you're moving into things, the more the enemy is gonna, it's to swing back and forth. And there's a serious, real battle happening there. And before this all blew up, I had some big things I was deciding, like really kind of exciting, big, stepping out of fear, stepping into some good stuff sort of things. And it was this just kind of like was a complete diversion from that. And I'm not surprised because with the good things that were here and the level of where it was going to go, in terms of breakthrough for me, to have something, you're going to have something, the enemy's going to have to bring on something equally as big to be like, not if I can help it. And so I think that's an important piece to be able to stop and recognize is it is uh, spiritual warfare. There is battle and it's real.
Absolutely. Like, there's no
So,
question about it.
but God is good and God is undefeated yesterday, today, and always. So it's just our job to lean into that, to recognize that, to partner with God, to keep that doorway and that communication open so that He can come in. He'll do the heavy lifting. We just have to hold the door. You know what I mean? Like you have to be willing to open the door.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So absolutely. I'm going to bring it back to this brilliant app and I want you, because I know you love it. So get unstuck and live a lifestyle of encounter.
I wrote it down.
Okay. Like you are going to love it. It's so, so, so good.
I'm still in
Uh,
radical permissions.
oh, so good.
I know they're all so good. This so it's hard whenever we talk about something. I'm just like, stay on track, finish the one you're on first, and then write down the next one you're gonna go to because I want to jump all over like a squirrel.
You know what? Leanne actually jumps all over like a squirrel. She prays about it and she's like, which one I'm supposed to listen? So she listens all out of order. And I'm like, wait, you can do that?
I know as you're talking about that, I'm like, that kind of makes my brain hurt a little bit, which is funny because I'm not a super structured person, but I'm OCD about certain things. And it's
Yeah.
like, I think what bothers me about it is you don't have all the little check marks next to all the little things in the so when you listen to the Brilliant Plus app and you listen to something, it puts like a little check mark on it so you know you've listened to that one.
Here,
So
I'll show like that.
yeah, so imagine if like the first one and the fifth one were checked and the other ones weren't. Like my brain would be like on fire, being like, "Oh my gosh, what's wrong with this? You don't have the check marks in the middle." What does
I'm
that
going to
say?
give you some radical permission as you're listening to radical permission. You don't have to check off all the boxes.
I know, what a concept.
Yeah. Sometimes you just do something because that is what needs to be done. It's
And I think it's so interesting because I think if someone were to meet Leanne and I just on the surface, they would be like, "Leanne does all of them in order, and Shannon's all over the place." Isn't that funny?
yeah, I would agree. I would totally agree. But no, no, it's so funny checking the boxes, right? So I grew up in a religion where like you checked off boxes. You and I mean there's some good things in that, right? But
Yeah.
yesterday I was at church and it was like baptism Sunday. And you got to see these people choosing. It wasn't just a checking the box. It wasn't a you've turned this age, it's time to do this thing. And it was such like it was so cool. There was somebody who was definitely like in their 60s and had been had was raised Catholic and thought, okay, well, I was baptized when I was a baby, so it's not like that's it, right?
Right.
You don't need to and took years. And he was like, you guys don't wait years. Like choose in when you can choose in. Then there was this 12-year-old boy who was so cute. He's like, yeah, I grew up in a family. And I'm thinking, he's like 12. So cute, right? He's like, I grew up in a family that wasn't religious and like, and he was choosing and he was choosing. And and they were like, why do you want to be baptized? And he goes, so I can show people that I'm a Christian, that I choose God. Like it was
Mm,
so powerful and so strong. And then I found out afterwards he comes to church by himself.
wow.
It was such a powerful moment of it doesn't matter how old you are. When God speaks to your heart and you choose in, it's it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So you guys, if God is speaking to your heart and it's like choose in wherever you're at, find community, find a place where you can be surrounded. I went a decade without going to church. I was still choosing God in my own way. And then he was like, okay, but now it's time for you to have more support. It's time for you to choose in and find what works for you. Like I did the what's that Goldilocks thing where I tried this one and it wasn't quite right. And I tried this next one, it wasn't
Yeah.
quite right. And God was
Church
like,
shopping.
he's like, this is taking too long. So he called somebody and they called me. Right. And it's so fun to tell that story. Like when people say, how did you find the Grove? And I'm like, well, God invited me. And then I was telling it to two young ladies that I've invited to go to church with me. Right. And they're like, that's such a cool story. And I'm like, don't you get it? God told me to invite you. So God invited you as well.
Right.
And they were like, oh, he did. Right.
And it really is. I mean, it's so simple yet so difficult. It's like it
Mhm.
really just is about if you're willing to crack that door. You don't even have to open it all the way. But if you're willing to crack the door, what he can do is beyond our comfort. Can I just say I have to laugh on this side because you must have your diffuser going? Because every once in a while I see this little thing of smoke come up, and at first I'm like, "Oh, are her curtains on fire? Like, are we gonna have like an exciting moment?" And then it would happen, and then finally I figured out I'm like, "Oh, she's diffusing," and I see the little poof, and I'm like, so it's,
Yes. Because it smells like engine, like small engine gas in my house. Because
oh, not the diffuser. The
no, no,
smell.
not
I'm
the
like,
diffuser. No, that was the other thing. Okay, so crazy stuff, right? I'm getting ready to start and I hear the chainsaw going. I open up, it like fills up the room. The smoke alarm is going off. I come over here to fill up the diffuser. I fill it up. I knock it over so that I spill stuff all over the. This was all the stuff to get ready for the stuff here. But it's important to be here. It's important to
yeah,
share. And I'm so excited to share that God's got that door wide open for you. You just have to walk through it.
amen.
Messy hair and everything, right?
Yeah. And if you're not ready to walk through it, just open the door. He'll help you get there.
Yeah. And
Just to open the
and
door.
if you need someone to pray for you, let us know. Like let us know in the comments. We will pray for you. Because having someone pray for me this week and give me an answer to prayer, like such a beautiful thing. Shannon, I will be
Yeah.
praying for you and your daughter. Like that
Ugh.
is right?
Yeah, it was I mean, it was a good week. It was a hard week, but it was definitely a God-filled week.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Well, on that happy note, let us know what we can do for you guys. Let us know how we can pray for you and because we pray before these that we will say the right things, that the right stuff will come out. And half the time, if nothing else, we're entertaining, I hope.
yeah. In case you haven't figured it out, we're very unscripted here. Wait,
Right. You guys have a beautiful week. We'll see you next week.
bye.